Alright, so my phone ran out of space. So, moving on. So, the Lego Ninjago movie. So, the Lego movie is here. Lego Batman movie's here. This one, it wasn't that great. I didn't think it was that great. Little man said he liked it, but it was alright. So, moving on into podcasts. I have lots and lots of new podcasts that I've been listening to. The first one is the Brink of Midnight podcast with John Brinkus. And if you are a sports fan and watch ESPN and watch SportsCenter, he's the one who does sports science. So he talks to different celebrities about what he calls the Brink of Midnight moments. So those are the moments where everything changes in their lives. So it's been very interesting to listen to these people about, and things that I didn't know, like Trent Dilfer, he was a quarterback in the NFL, and he was also on ESPN. He interviewed him on the day he actually got fired from ESPN, which I find ironic. But I never knew his son died, and it was very interesting listening to him. Another one that was really interesting was Apollo Antonono, the Olympic speed skater, and about, he was a bad boy growing up. So about how, just the rough times he had. So that's been interesting. And then there's the 30 for 30 podcast, which is from ESPN, which is their 30 for 30 is like documentaries. So this is podcast version. And then there's Beyond the To-Do List with Eric Fisher. So again, this is a productivity based podcast, but Eric's interesting. He's got interesting people on. Another one that is very different. It's called Ear Hustle, and it is produced by prisoners in San Quentin Prison in California. And it's about prison life and about what happens and what goes on, and it's very interesting. Very interesting. Very. I mean, obviously we knew prison's not easy, but it was interesting. And the middle of the one season was interrupted because they were on lockdown and they weren't allowed to leave their cells, so they couldn't get to the media room to do this. And it's just, it all has to be approved. There's a little tagline at the end, and they have the information officer who has to approve every episode before it's allowed to go live. And he says, I'm officer, I can't remember his name, and I approve this episode or something like that. It's kind of fun. It's kind of like, when you're during the election season, they're like, I'm Joe Blow and I approve this message. It's pretty funny. And then there's Life Without Limits podcast, which is Yogi Roth. And Yogi he's again in the sports field. He's been an assistant coach with Pete Carroll in USC, and does the what do you call it, the elite, elite 12, can't remember, but it's supposed to be the best high school quarterbacks coming out to college. So but he is a big traveler, and he lives his life, as he says, without limits. So it's an interesting one. The very first one was him interviewing his mom, who is a Holocaust survivor. So that was very interesting. And then another productivity one is called the 5 a.m. Miracle with Jeff Sanders. And Jeff is he is just so happy, and just he's one of those people you want to hate them because they're so chipper and so happy, but you can't. You like him, so it's kind of how Jeff is. But he does a lot about productivity. He also does things about health and just, how everything is connected. And then there's the Sports Reporters with Mitch. It's usually Mitch Albom, Bob Ryan, and Mike Lupica, who are all sports reporters. Mitch Albom is local. He writes for the Detroit Free Press, so he also writes books. Tuesdays with Morrie, probably the most famous one. But the Sports Reporter show was on ESPN for 25 years or something like that, and they canceled it last year, so they decided to go on and do a podcast. So they do it twice a week, so it's quite funny. And then there's the Yarn Alchemist with Francie Devois, And Frenchie is a designer. I've been subscribed to her newsletter, and she does different challenges during the year. Design your own shawl challenges and everything. I always sign up, and I never actually do what you're supposed to do. I have all the emails saved. But, yeah. But she's really into, knitting as more than just knitting, as building a community and, how it affects people's mental health and things like that. So she's on just released her second episode, so that one's pretty new if you want to get in there. And then another new one that I just started listening to yesterday is called When to Jump with Mike Lewis. And again, he is interviewing different people about when they decided to make changes in their life. So he interviewed Sheryl Sandberg from Facebook about when she decided to go from, she used to work for the government, and then she went into the private sector working at Google, and then jumping from Google to Facebook. And then the second one that I listened to was Ariana Huffington about when she decided to jump from Humpington? That's a different type of website. Huffington Post. Okay. Anyway. Oh, now I'm going to cough. Okay. So when she decided to jump from Huffington Post to what she's doing now, which is called Thrive Global, which is like a health company. So, interesting. Anyway, I'm sorry. And then the last one is Lil Skane in the Big Wall. Or in the Big Stash. Sorry. Lil Skane and the Big Stash. And that's with Anne, who is Little Skane in the Big Wall. And Stacy from Mustache Yarn. So, it's pretty interesting. They're quite funny. They talk about their dogs. So, I like people to talk about their dogs. And I get to live vicariously through them. And then I think this is why we don't need a dog. Alright, so the post game, the wrap up. If you want to contact me, I'm on Ravelry as Crazy Knitting Fool. Twitter is Crazy Knit Fool. Instagram is Crazy Knitter Studio. The blog is crazyknitterstudio@blogspot.com. And the email is crazyknitterstudio@gmail.com. Feel free to contact me. And then my next episode, which I make no promises, but I'm going to try, will be December 9th. I cannot believe that Friday is December 1st already. I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready for Christmas. I'm not ready for snow, which we've had snow. It hasn't really stuck around, but the snow flurries. I'm not ready for more cold. It's been in the 40s this week, so that's been nice. It's supposed to be 50-something, like Wednesday of next week. I could handle 40, 50 all winter long. I don't need, like, below zero wind chills, but I know it's coming. Anyway, so I hope you have a good couple of weeks. I will talk to you soon. Thank you for coming back, sticking around, dealing with me. And as I always say, be good. If you can't be good, just don't get caught. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.